Hello everyone, this is Chris. I want to welcome everyone today. Thanks for tuning in again. Today I'm going to do some work on my layout, the bench work, and I've taken some video of the steps I've done to get it this far. As you can see, I've gotten like about one piece of plywood up already here, but I'll show you how I built some of the bench work and how it all went together. So stay tuned. Well, here's the table with all the plywood on it. I just wanted to show you before I take it back off. I'm going to level the table before I screw the plywood on. I noticed when I was putting the plywood on that it wasn't exactly level from one section to another section. So I have an 8-foot section there and then this 4-foot section at the longest point. And it tended to dip down on this 4-foot section. So all the legs I cut exactly the same length. So on the table back there, it has 2 sets of legs. And then I guess when it came out to here, it wanted to drop down with the same length of leg. I noticed it on this side first. So what I'm going to have to do is probably take the center leg here, that leg there, take the screws out and readjust it, maybe cut the leg a little bit shorter. I'll clamp everything together. Once I take the plywood off, I'll loosen the legs and clamp the legs on until I get it adjusted properly. And then if I need to cut a little bit off the legs, I'll mark it and cut them and then reattach the legs. So you can see the 8-foot section, the seam right there. And when this piece of plywood came across that seam, it popped up a little bit there. But temporarily what I've done, I've clamped these legs on and they're actually extended a little bit to make it actually level now. But I think to compensate, I'm going to shorten up the legs right there. And I just want to show you a calendar I got. It's the Carload Express calendar, and this is the train that comes through my town, the Delmarva Central. And this is actually at Dover, which is north of where I live. So this is the 2022 calendar, and it's got all the different railroads that I think there's 3 locations Carload Express operates in. There's all the pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and take this plywood off. It's just laying on right now. And also while I have the plywood off, I'm going to drill holes in the cross members for wires. So I'll get to work on that and show you what I'm doing. Alright, well here's the first section I'm working on to see if I can get it level. And where the level you see across there, that's the joint where the plywood was not level across that joint. So I thought these legs might be the main problem, and I think they are. So I've taken out the screws and let them come up a little bit until the level across the joint right here. This is the joint I'm talking about, where the 2 sections join. There was a bit of a gap there. Now it's pretty level, and where I had the legs at the end adjusted to make it level originally, I put them back to the original height, and all I had to do was take a little bit off these legs. Probably it might be a 1/4 inch on that side and maybe an 1/8 inch on this side, and it's actually level across from one clamp to the other, and along here now it's level. So I'm gonna take these legs, mark them, and cut off the bottom so I can use the original holes I had at the top here. So I'll just cut off down at the bottom the same height that I need to get off up here. And then I'm going to try to check the other side and see if it needs anything taking it off. And I put that leg back to the original height. So let me saw these off and reattach them and check it. Well, here you see half of a sheet of plywood, and the bottom edge at the table is the factory cut edge, and I was just using it as a straight edge to see if my table is level across the two sections. So I got the other legs cut off and they're all mounted with screws. These are still not screwed in, but they're level with the top of the table. So I'm going to screw them in next. I just wanted to show you how even it is. Of course, at the start, it's even. And as you go down, there's just a very minute, sometimes, gap at the bottom. Probably only a sheet of paper could fit through. There's the main seam with the two sections. You can, maybe you can see through, I don't know. And then there's the last end of the plywood. Well, I have all the legs on now. I think I have 14 legs. And I also, before I put the table plywood on, I drilled these holes for wires to run through. They're 1.125" diameter, and just drilled 2 holes in each board. I used a hole saw, and I went through one side about 3/4 of the way and then drilled it from the other side so there wouldn't be any splintering when the drill came through. So now I'm getting ready to attach to that piece of plywood, and I'll go show you what it looks like. Well, this is the grade that's coming down from over to the right, and when it gets to this table, it's not quite finished going down. It won't touch the table right there where they're clamped together. I think it's going to be raised maybe an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch. And so I wanted to have the seam of the plywood held together with these other plywood strips. So I've glued and screwed these little, I guess they're about 8 inches by 3.5 inches. And then when I put this board on the table, I'm going to screw it to those 3 tabs, and then, you know, it'll be held in place as it's coming down the grade. Now I've got the boards connected, got screws and also glued the joints, and I've raised it up off the table with some supports to make it level with this piece temporarily. This piece isn't, the grade has got to be finalized coming around this curve. The actual joint here, I think where I spliced it together right here is where I've got to start adjusting the grade to make it match the same grade that's coming down. So I've got to make a riser and attach that, and another riser here where it's actually touching, but it won't be once I get it adjusted. And that's got to taper down to meet that table, and trying to do it as best I can. So when this, like I said, there might be a little bit of a space right here in the beginning before it touches this table. So that's what I'm going to work on next. Well, I decided that I'm not going to do any more for this video. That'll about wrap this one up. Just want to show you an overall view of what I've gotten done so far. And next time I'll hopefully have some more plywood down and be able to put the Homosote on, and then eventually after that start laying some track. So everyone take care, and I'll see you next time.